This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
And welcome to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, and for the next 4 hours, I'm your host and your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X-Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here on the Talkstar Radio Network, X-Zone Broadcast Network, UK High Definition Radio, Euro High Definition Radio, Star Cable, and, of course, XZoneRadioTV.com. If you'd like to give us a call, 1-800-610-7035, worldwide toll-free. Email xzone at xzoneradiotv.com and on Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. X-Zone Nation, my guest this hour is Robert Bauval, and we're going to be talking to Robert about the Master Game. Robert was born in Egypt in 1948. Let me see, he studied construction engineering in England and subsequently worked in the Middle East and Africa till 1985. In 1994, he published The Orion Mystery, which was a #1 seller and now translated in more than 25 languages. He also wrote Keeper of Genesis in 1966 with another good X-Zone Nation friend, Graham Hancock, which also was #1 bestseller, and now in more than 20 languages. Robert lives in Spain with his wife, Michelle. Both Graham Hancock and Robert Bauval have teamed up yet again to investigate the murky origins of the conflict haunting us today, the inevitable clash of civilizations between the Islamic and the Western worlds. The conclusions are as riveting as they are shocking. A covert master game that has been played undetected for over 2 millennia by powerful forces causing endless genocides and destruction, and, if not properly understood, could draw the world into an Armageddon of devastating proportion. What is the master game? Who is playing it? And what is the prize? We're going to be talking to Robert Bauval this hour from Egypt. And for more information on Robert, his website is www.robertbauval.co.uk. And Robert, welcome back to the X-Zone. Great having you with us. How are things in Egypt today?
Hi, Rob. It's great to be on your show again. In a nutshell, things are fine. I've been utterly surprised. I've arrived here 2 days ago. Mm-hmm. I'm actually speaking to you from about a couple of miles from the pyramids.
Wow.
I'm at an hotel not far from the pyramids, and I'm amazed. I mean, I was in October here last. The last time I was here, I was in October with a tour. Mm-hmm. And now I've returned with all this revolution in between. I expected to see some confusion, but it's amazing. I mean, the city is back to normal. Cairo is Cairo as usual, with its usual traffic jams and shop vendors, and really everything seems to be very normal. But there is one thing which is different.
What's that?
And the people, they are radiant. it's as if Father Christmas came down and handed them the gift of freedom. It's unbelievable. There's young people in the street and they're carrying flags and young girls of the university. I was just at Tahrir Square, by the way, a couple of hours ago.
Yes.
That famous
square that we all watched on the newscasts that were emanating out of Egypt a couple of weeks ago.
Absolutely. And, well, I had to go there and see for myself that famous place now. And it was full of young people. It's become a kind of promenade, where there are even Egyptian tourists coming from other towns, taking photographs and posing and waving flags. It's an amazing scene. It's an amazing mood, and people welcoming me everywhere I went.
Right.
I was carrying one of these little badges with the flag of Egypt.
My goodness,
it's unbelievable. So yeah, I mean, and there is a trickle of tourism, of course.
Robert, you and I have to take a 2-minute commercial break. Please stand by. Always great talking to you. Robert Bauval is our guest this hour. X-Zone Nation, www.robertbauval.co.uk. We're speaking to Robert in Egypt today using Skype. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
Take a step back in time and discover old Florida cuisine at Marsh Landing Restaurant in Fellsmere. Enjoy delicacies such as frog legs, gator tail, catfish, and swamp cabbage, or enjoy the more traditional cuisine like hand-cut Angus steaks, ribs, and seafood. Join us for breakfast with a southern flair featuring sweet potato pancakes, biscuits and gravy, and much more. Planning a party? Marsh Landing's private dining room can accommodate groups from 8 to 80 people. While you're visiting, enjoy the historic pictures, artifacts, and stories that line the walls. Marsh Landing is truly a unique experience. Marsh Landing Restaurant, 44 North Broadway in historic Fellsmere, or visit marshlandingrestaurant.com. Marsh Landing, old Florida cuisine at its best.
This is Johanna Carroll, host of Dialogue with Divinity on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. While walking along Kaanapali Beach in Maui this past year, I kept discovering all these shells and coral in the shape of hearts. My dialogue with Divinity was very simple. Do you want me to do a retreat to heal people's hearts in Maui next year? And of course, the answer was yes. As a master spiritual teacher, I am offering you a neat retreat called Rise, May 8th through the 12th, 2017, and the chance of a lifetime to rest at a 5-star resort for 5 days and experience a spiritual renewal of your heart and soul. Kaanapali is one of the top 5 beaches in the world. This stunning resort has undergone a $40 million renovation. I walked the entire property, checked out the room choices on your behalf, and I must say it is stunning. Our conference room faces the ocean with sliding glass doors. Maui is known as Mother Maui because it is a soft, gentle, healing energy. In the embrace of Mother Maui, you will feel yourself rising from the limitations of an ordinary life to an extraordinary journey of peace, bliss, and harmony. A greater sense of clarity. Our Rise retreat ignites renewal in the sacred elements of air, water, earth, fire, and wind. There's plenty of free time to enjoy all that Maui has to offer. A small deposit is required now to reserve your space, as this retreat, it will sell out. For more details, please go to johannacarroll.com and register today. Aloha, and I'll see you in mystical Maui.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. My name is Rob McConnell. Robert Bauval is our special guest of this hour. We're speaking to Robert from his hotel in Cairo, Egypt. His website is www.robertbauval.co.uk. Robert, I understand you have some very exciting news to share with all the members of the worldwide X-Zone Nation. What is it?
Absolutely. I got woken up this morning by a very excited phone call from my agent in Cairo, Mr. Sharif, who is acting as my representative with the tours I run here. And he said he just had heard on the news, on the radio, that Dr. Zahi Hawass has been reappointed as Minister of Antiquities. We were completely taken by surprise. I mean, as you know, Rob, he resigned.
Yes, you did, yeah.
On the 3rd of March, and amid a huge controversy of corruption accusations of having tampered with the antiquities, with the thefts of the museum, with his association with the Mubarak clan. So it's all very bizarre. I was stunned, but it is in fact confirmed. He was sworn in sometime this morning. I haven't had time to see it on the television. I suppose it's on at the moment while I'm speaking to you, but it's definitely confirmed. I went to see some of his colleagues, and so there you are. It's a surprise every day here.
What does that mean to you and all the other people who go to Egypt to study the antiquities, to study the culture, to study the history behind this wonderful nation, that he has been reinstated?
Well, let me tell you, I was last night at a friend of mine, Mohammed Nazmi, who is the president of a company called Quest Travel, who runs very special tours here in Egypt. I worked with Mohammed Nazmi for many, many years. And he is a absolute personal friend of Dr. Hawass. I mean, they're very, very close. And he was unaware of this news last night. So we're really taken by surprise. I haven't been able to digest it yet. I'm not quite sure what it means. I'm not quite sure what it means at all. I mean, what is puzzling, Rob, if I may carry on a bit,
please,
is the bizarre message that is being sent to the revolutionary youth and those who have demanded the removal of the old regime. I mean, the last thing we expected was the new prime minister reappointing people of the old regime. This is really very strange. We're all taken by surprise, I have to admit. I mean, you know, the fine thing with Dr. Hawass and I mean, it's well known that we've been arch enemies for a long, long time.
Right.
Is that we don't know each other very well. I mean, we've met a dozen times or so, on very briefly, really. But we've had a long, long feud on the media and about theories and so forth. He's like I said last time, I think on the interviews that we had together last time, Rob. He's a rather odd character. He's very autocratic. I've described him as the Mubarak of Egyptology. So I don't know what it means. I must say I'm puzzled. I may, in fact, have a meeting with him in the next few days. Mohammed Nazmi, his friend, proposed and arranged to meet him and see what the new Zahi Hawass is, because he really has, I suppose he will have to behave in a very different way now that the country has taken this big leap towards democracy and change. And so it's all very surprising, I must admit.
Tell me, as someone who brings tourism into Egypt, someone who studies the ancient antiquities and history of Egypt, did you expect everything to go back to normal so fast as far as tourism was concerned?
As far as tourism, no. Although it should, because like I said, and it's rather stunning. I mean, I didn't expect after a month and a half from the ousting of Mubarak, you know, you've all seen how Tahrir Square was. I mean, there was practically a war going on in Cairo. But it's amazing. I mean, I was asking people when I arrived 2 days ago, where is evidence of this revolution? I mean, it's all nice and tidy and clean. People are acting normally in the street. Vendors are out. The shops are open. Business as usual. And I've met many, many tourists, those who have had the courage to come, and they're thrilled. I mean, the Egyptians are even more welcoming than ever. They love they love foreigners now because they say, we're like you, we want what you want, and we love what you're doing in Libya, helping our brothers, and there's a wonderful atmosphere. It's really bizarre. And there are tourists in the hotel here. I mean, it's on very low occupancy, of course, but they're thrilled. And I tell you what's fantastic is the sites, the archaeological sites and the museums are practically empty. And so these tourists who have had the good sense to come now are having a ball. I mean, I met a couple from New Jersey who were at the museum, and they told me, we're going to Giza tomorrow, and we want to get there early so the place is not crowded. I said, forget it. I mean, you'll probably be alone. It's wonderful. It really is amazing. I mean, the message I have to people who are thinking of coming to Egypt, come. You'll love it. You'll see history in the making. I mean, it's like taking a time machine and going to the United States after the Declaration of Independence in 1776. You know, it's a strange atmosphere, and it's amazing. I feel like I'm imbued in a historical moment. So, but honestly, to answer your question,
Yes.
I didn't expect it to become so quickly calm and to see tourists around. I expected a lot of problems, as all revolutions have had, you know. It's not visible. Of course, I presume there's a lot of things behind the scene, like the surprise with Dr. Hawass today. You know, it's all very baffling as to what the government is really doing. There is a lot of discussion about the referendum for the constitution, the way the elections may go in 6 months' time. So, of course, everybody's talking about this. But the fact that everybody's talking is already a huge leap for Egypt. You know, you've got to be aware that this country was under an autocratic rule where everybody was afraid to express opinion. Everybody was afraid to discuss politics. It was under martial law. So this alone is a new thing for me. You know, to see people openly discussing, taxi drivers telling you their opinion about. Of course, everybody wants to talk politics because they've been restrained for so many years.
Sure, it's like a breath of fresh air for them.
Oh yeah. You know, I'll tell you something. You actually feel it in the air. It's bizarre, but you actually feel this new mood in the air. And the Egyptians, to describe what's going on, they tell you we smell freedom in the air, and it's electrical. It's really fantastic.
Robert Bauval is our special guest this hour. Exo Nation, www.robertbauval.co.uk. And we're speaking with Robert from Cairo in Egypt. And Robert, it's great having you with us. How do you foresee the changes within the government and the attitude of the people? Will this be able to help people like yourself who are eager to study and to help solve some of the many questions that the world has when it comes to Egypt?
Yes. In general, when you talk to people, young and old, taxi drivers, businessmen, people in politics, I mean, I've talked to a lot of people since I've been here in the last 2 days. The mood is very optimistic. I mean, they're all, basically what they say in a nutshell is we want to be like the rest of the world, like the Western world. We want democracy.
Right.
We want to be free. We want to enjoy life. We want to read what we want to read. We want to say what we want to say. Basically, freedom. They want that. And now that they've taken the first big step towards that, they won't be turning back. There is uncertainty, I must say. I mean, it's all very new to this country. I mean, some people are stunned. You know,
Yeah, I would
say,
imagine so.
They wake up in the morning and say, "I think I've been dreaming." You know, it's not true. I mean, you know.
It's quite a culture shock for them because, you know, they're out from underneath the thumb. They're not being suppressed anymore, yeah.
You know, it's like, I don't know, maybe you can compare it to somebody who's been in jail for years and suddenly somebody opens the door and says, you're free, you know, and he's going to be stunned. And that's the feeling throughout. But I tell you what is to me the most refreshing and rewarding to see is the young people. I've never seen this before in Egypt. In Tahrir Square this afternoon, there was a beautiful, beautiful afternoon with this time of year in Egypt is wonderful weather. It's springtime, people in t-shirts. And couples walking around hand in hand, the girls dressed in wonderful scarves and smiling. And, I've never seen this mood. I mean, it's hard to describe. I wish I could film it and broadcast it, because it's a kind of rejuvenation. It's like a pill has been given to Egypt's population, and suddenly they're different people.
Stand by, Robert. You and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Exonation Robert Bauval is our special guest. We're talking to Robert from Cairo, Egypt. Now, his website, www.robertbauval.co.uk. That's RobertBauval.co.uk. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. Robert Bauval and I return on the other side of this news break. Don't go away.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
Explanation, Robert Bauval is our special guest. We're talking to Robert from his hotel room in Cairo, Egypt. And first of all, Robert, thanks very much for joining us. Is there a heavy military or police presence in the streets of Cairo?
Not at all, no. Not even in Tahrir Square. There is, in fact, a reduced police force. Let me tell you this about this police force, because before the revolution, the police, and particularly the so-called the security police, Egypt was riddled with thousands, some say a million, of these security so-called police, who were really, at the end, as you saw on Tahrir Square during the revolution, they were really a bunch of thugs. And that's what kept the population really oppressed and frightened. Now it's the first thing that young Egyptians tell you is that we're not scared of the police. We're not scared of these, the police anymore. They behave like police should, without being abusive and bullying and so forth. So that's number one. And you don't see so much as you used to see before. At every street corner, there used to be those so-called security police, really in civilian clothes, with most of them carrying pistols and rather gorilla-looking type guys, thugs. They disappeared. As you know, the security police and the Ministry of Interior has completely been dissolved. In fact, the Minister of Interior himself is under investigation. So that has gone. As for the regular traffic police and the city police, they're back in the streets, but amazingly, they're behaving like every police in the world. That's it. They do the job and they don't bully the people. And so, again, things are wonderful to see. I'm actually seeing, I'll put it in a nutshell for you, Robert. I'm actually seeing a new, revitalized country for the better. It's almost magical. It's as if somebody waved a magic wand and said, I want Egypt to be renewed, and it happened so fast. So that's it. There is a lot of. Can I carry on, by the way?
Oh, please do. Yes, this is very interesting.
There is a lot of respect for the army. That's what you hear around. They say the army has been on our side. They behaved correctly. They supported the revolution. They protected us. So there is this enormous respect for the military. That's another thing that most people say. So we've got an Egypt now with back to normal.
Yes.
Although the army, or rather the Supreme Military Council, as it's known here, is acting as caretaker authority, you don't see army people much in the street. There is a few at some important points, but they were always there, like protecting some installations and so forth. But the tanks, the military vehicles, all this are gone. The security police has disappeared. I mean, for me, it's quite amazing. They used to be everywhere. They used to sit outside hotels, outside restaurants. You never knew who they were. When you talk to somebody in the street, you weren't quite sure if they were secret police or not, because they were dressed in civilians. Well, apparently all of them have gone. And the mood is normal. I mean, for those, for tourists used to come before the revolution, Rob. They didn't see all this because, of course, they just were taken from hotels to archaeological sites, to museums. They didn't quite feel that oppression that was constantly applied to the population in Egypt. I knew it because I lived here, as you know. I've lived here for many years.
Yes.
And I've recently lived for 3 years in Cairo. So this has lifted. It's like coming out of a bad illness, of a bad flu. The whole country has been cured. It's that feeling you get all around. So I don't know if I'm describing it to you well, because I'm still under surprise myself, having been away for 4 or 5 months during those crucial months, returning and seeing this. It's like some sort of dream. It really is.
Tell me, is there any animosity or is there any friction between Christians and the members of the Muslim community in Egypt?
Well, that's a good question, Rob, and it's very difficult to assess. Another thing you hear, and you probably saw it on TV yourselves, is during the uprising at Tahrir Square in those famous 18 days of revolution, the Christians and the Muslims behaved wonderfully together. I mean, there's this talk about when the Muslims would pray during prayer time, the Christians would form a protective circle around them, and vice versa. So it's again something very new for me to see that kind of unity, that kind of brotherhood.
Right.
I'll sum it up for you.
Okay.
I was driving. I'm actually driving in Cairo. I'm one of those mad people who drive in Cairo, And I was driving down the motorway, and you see posters of the revolution, and slogans and so forth. But there's many of these. I saw a large poster with the Islamic crescent and inside a cross. And the poster said in Arabic, "One heart, same blood, we're all Egyptians." It's amazing. I mean, to me, it's amazing. So again, there's this desire for that. Now, that will not go away overnight. that's for sure. There has been sectarian problems, but the will is to unite Egypt into a one citizenship, one rule for everybody, the same rule. So there is this will. It's early days,
right.
But what is good is the will that they want to do it.
Tell me, when was the last time Egypt had total democracy as it has now?
Never. No, as far as I mean, what Egyptians laugh at me because I tell them I'm born in historical times. In fact, I was born before the Republic was formed. I was born in the days of King Farouk. And Egypt has always been ruled by autocracies, by theocracies. I mean, under the pharaohs. Although I wish I was born in those days because it must have been wonderful with all the art and so forth. But the pharaohs were theocrats. They believed they were God on earth, and Egypt was ruled by divine rule, like Europe was under the kings of Europe for millennia. When Egypt was when the pharaonic civilization collapsed with the intrusion of the Roman Empire, they were ruled by the Romans for 7 centuries, and then came the Muslim caliphates and the khedives. And finally, the monarchy, of which I am the generation of the monarchy. We had King Fuad and King Farouk. And then in 1952, there was the revolution where the free officers took power, and they had so-called presidents. They had Mohammed Naguib, who was their first president, who lasted only a few months. Then they had the famous Gamal Abdel Nasser, who ruled for nearly 20 years. Then came Sadat. And then came Mubarak. So that's all they've known, these people. They've never had anything remotely resembling democracy. So you can imagine, we're still 1 month into this new Egypt,
right? This
new democracy, and they still can't believe it. I mean, especially the old people, they those who are my age, I'm 63, by the way, who have seen this military junta running the country for 60 years with martial law, with oppressive rules, with controlling the media. So here they are free in 1 month, and it still hasn't sunk in. It's still not fully in the spirit of the people. Although they're excited, they're thrilled, they still can't believe it.
Tell me something, Robert. How are the events in Libya affecting the newly released, suppressed Egyptians who are now enjoying democracy? Is there any talk on the streets about Libya, Gaddafi?
Yeah? Oh, absolutely, yes. I mean, I was in a taxi this afternoon coming out of Tahrir Square, and had a chat with the taxi. I mean, you can't avoid conversation. Everybody wants to talk about the revolution and the events, and of course we talked about this business in Libya. The reaction of the taxi driver was, let's get rid of this madman. They are, by the way, thrilled at the intervention of the United Nations and the coalition. You actually see posters of Obama in the street, and you see posters of David Cameron, the British Prime Minister, and Sarkozy. It's amazing. I mean, there's this. They want the same for what they call their brothers, the Libyans. They want the same for the Syrians. They want the same for the Yemenis. There is this feel that there is a revival, not just in Egypt, but throughout the Arab world. And of course, Libya is a neighbor of Egypt, so it would certainly be the dream come true if Libya could be also a democratic state adjacent to Egypt. Yes, of course, there's a lot of talk about this.
With all the sweeping changes that Egypt has seen, and that I'm sure other countries within the Mediterranean northern part of Africa are going to see as democracy sweeps wide and far, as a person who was born in Egypt, how do you see the Egypt of tomorrow now?
Well, I'm the Egypt of today, as I described it. I would imagine that I would be surprised if it changes that fast. We're all, of course, watching very carefully the formation of opposition parties to bid for the elections coming in September. Parties are being formed every day here now because it's the big trend now to have opposition parties and new movements starting. There is a feminist movement starting, which is also a wonderful thing. And what I see really is that what I hope will happen, two things that I think are essential for this democracy to work. First of all, that the people begin to feel a restored, well, they've never had it, to begin to believe what their government says. You know, they had lost faith in their leaders. They have lost faith. They didn't believe them anymore. Worse, they didn't even want to listen to them anymore. You know, you've seen in Tahrir Square, you know, when Mubarak still came and said, I will leave in September and so forth. They didn't believe him. They don't want to listen. They were fed up with these lies that were perpetuated with this propaganda. So this is very important for the new government, whoever they're going to be, to restore or to bring into the equation substance of belief. The people need to believe the words of their government. That's number one. Number two is that there must be a massive re-education program. You know, people need to know what democracy is. You know, they want it, but they're not quite sure exactly what it is. You know, they're like I said, they're like prisoners coming out of a prison, and they're not quite sure how to behave and what it means to be free. And some are being excessive, as you probably saw in the last few weeks. You know, they suddenly want to protest and want this and want that. So they need to. There is a re-education program, and you hear this on television. There's many now. Television, of course, they've liberated the press. The media is now no more controlled by the state. So there is a lot of these channels that broadcast debates and discussions. And the other night I heard from a friend of mine that were actually they have lessons in telling people what democracy is, what feminism is, what, you know,
Wow.
because they don't know this stuff. You know, all these things that are very normal to you Canadians and the rest of the Western world is very new to them. So there is an education program to be done. And I think if that works, then this country is in for a new, wonderful era. You know, Egypt is the cradle of civilization. Egypt has 5,000 years of history. Egypt is a country that is literally littered with antiquity.
All right, stand by, my friend. You and I have to take our final break for this hour. Exonation Robert Bauval is our special guest. www.robertbauval.co.uk. And we'll be back on the other side of this commercial break. Don't go away.
19 Sergeant Central. 19 Sergeant, check. Officers on the scene.
Hi, I'm Larry Lawson, host of Paranormal Stakeout. With over 36 years in law enforcement, I have learned a few things. The most important is the proper gathering and preservation of evidence is vital to putting the bad guy behind bars. It's no different in the world of paranormal investigation. Whether it's the search for the afterlife, cryptozoology, UFOs, and extraterrestrials, how we gather the evidence, preserve that evidence, and present it to a jury of our peers will make the ultimate difference in proving the existence of worlds and entities that are beyond our imagination. Join me, Larry Lawson, every week on Paranormal Stakeout when, along with my guests, we'll take a journey to prove with indisputable evidence what man has struggled to believe for centuries. Go to xzbn.net for the broadcast schedule and check me out at paranormalstakeout.com.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Exonation Robert Bauval is our special
You're
guest this
listening
hour.
to the Exxon Broadcast
www.robertbauval.co.uk. You know what? I forgot to ask you. What are you doing in Egypt now, Robert?
Good question. Well, I came because I wanted to see for myself what was going on. You know, I kept watching CNN, I kept watching BBC, I kept watching Al Jazeera, and, you know, people have their own perception of what's going on here. I mean, I've met American tourists this afternoon who said, when they said they were going to Egypt, everybody said, you're crazy, it's dangerous, there's a war going on, and they are thrilled, like I am, that all this. I mean, it shows you, quite frankly, Rob, that what you see on TV is not what is really going on. However, I wanted to see for myself. There's a famous quote by Groucho Marx, you know, the Marx brothers.
Yes.
Where once he told his public, do you believe what you see with your own eyes or what I'm telling you? Well, I wanted to see with my own eyes, and I've seen. I'm going back to Europe, to my home in Spain on the 7th of April. And a couple of weeks later, I'm coming back with 35 people from all over the world, and with my friend and colleague Graham Hancock. We are going to be escorting a tour here for 2 weeks. We've called it Tahrir Tour. It's an all Egypt tour that is going to encompass literally all the sites of Egypt from Alexandria all the way to Abu Simbel. An all-night tour, and I'd like to tell people who would still want to join us, please do. You can find all the information on my website. It's www.robertbauval.co.uk, and we still have some room for other people. It's the time to come. I mean, I say this with real sincerity. It's a wonderful moment. There's a wonderful mood in this country. The sites are free, and will be a very, very nice group. I have people coming from Australia, from the United States, some from Canada, by the way, from Europe, from Italy, from France. So it's a kind of cosmopolitan group, seeing for themselves and enjoying this new mood. We're going to have trips down the Nile. We have wonderful excursions. So that's what I wanted to tell you and your listeners.
As always, Robert, it's a great pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for joining us from Cairo today. Thank you for the first-hand look at the new Egypt, and I wish you and yours very much success, and we look forward to talking to you in the future.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Take care, Robert. Robert Bauval has been my guest this hour. Exxon Nation, All right, you got your pencils out? All right, it's www.robertbauval.co.uk. When I come back from this news break at the top of the hour at 6.5 minutes past, more from the Exxon as we continue from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. 1-800-610-7035, worldwide toll-free. Email exxon@exxonradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, exxonradiotv@hotmail.com, and our website, www.exxonradiotv.com. My name is Rob McConnell. I'll be back after the news. Don't go away.